I'm going to introduce Brian Redders with Gen X. First, here is a little bit about Gen X Consulting and Panoptic Wealth Advocates is a boutique wealth management firm that offers holistic and comprehensive wealth planning services to their clients. We offer integrated solutions that are individualized through partnering with our clients, their families, and businesses. Our speaker is Brian Redders, but Mike Sluhan and Chad Hemphill are also on this call and available to help if Brian needs any assistance. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Brian to talk to you about Panoptic and Gen X. Oh, I'm not doing it quite right yet.
I think you did good.
Oh, super.
You guys hear me okay? Give me like a thumbs up or a little wave or a little rock on. Okay. So Mike Sluhan and Chad Hemphill will do their very best to answer all of your questions in the chat. So keep it coming. All right. I was told I have 10 minutes, and those of you that know me know I will take all 10 minutes. So a little long-winded, get a little chatty, got a lot to say, and it's a lot to pack into 10 minutes. So humor me, appreciate your time and attention, and let's rock and roll. First of all, thanks for organizing this chamber. It's really neat to keep things going, even when times are sort of tough here. And we all recognize people are hurting. Many are struggling economically and with health concerns. So I'm going to try to keep it light, have a little fun, but don't want to be insensitive to the loss and hurt that's happening locally and around the world. Our hearts go out to all, wherever you're at with this pandemic. So that being said, here we go. Everyone joining virtually, appreciate your time and interest in learning more about our local wealth planning firm. It's an honor for me to represent our team today and to be the only one on Zoom that is currently not muted. I plan to spend the next 10 minutes letting you get to know Gen X Consulting a little better and to give some shout outs to other chamber members that have worked with us or our clients. There's not enough time to give a shout out to everyone we've worked with, so if I miss you, please know we still got love for you. So buckle up virtually, and here goes nothing. As mentioned, my name is Brian Redders. I am one of the founders and principals of Gen X Consulting. Early last year, we moved into the First Bank building that's on Manchester, just west of the Lindbergh intersection. We're right next to the waterway that was recently updated, just to sort of give you a spot. On our building, you'll see two big signs, a Gen X Consulting sign and a Panoptic Wealth Advocate sign. This is where the story begins, and it's a good one. In the interest of time, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes. For Gen X, that firm was created by myself and Mike Sluhan. We met in college at Truman State University, also known as the Harvard of the Midwest. In Kirksville, Missouri, back in the fall of 1994, we joined Sigma Phi Epsilon together and ended up becoming good friends and eventual business partners. The fraternity house had a red door that was very welcoming. Come to find out, every chapter house, coast to coast, had a red door. We thought that was pretty cool. So we took something important to us and made it part of our brand and our logo. At Gen X, you are always welcome. Panoptic was founded by Chad Hemphill. Just so happens, Chad, Mike, and I worked together very early in our careers in Clayton at a company called Luncheon Financial. We basically cut our teeth together in the financial industry. That office had a revolving door. Sadly, so many good people came and went. It's tough business, especially when you're younger. Somehow, us three knuckleheads survived, made it out of there, and went our separate ways for 10 years or so, and recently came together and decided to merge. We always had respect for one another, and we appreciated a similar work ethic. drive, and shared values. Together, Mike and I and Chad recently updated our core values to sort of give some common language up and down our hallways. As you get to know us and you get to know Gen X and Panoptic and what we stand for, you'll definitely be introduced to our core values. Trust and integrity, mission and service, love and respect, growth and evolution, fun and family. Speaking of fun, we had a lot of fun hosting the After Hours event last year and can't wait to do it again when it's safe. I think we can all agree to that. Cheers. All right, at Gen X Panoptic, we are a full-service, holistic wealth planning firm. What the heck does that mean? Well, simply put, we don't say no. The red door in our logo has 6 panels, each representing our 6 critical wealth planning areas that typically when we're hired, we're doing work in most, if not all 6. Estate planning, business planning, risk management planning, retirement, executive compensation, and investment planning. Over the years, it has become quite a compliment when clients just say, ask Gen X, they'll know or they'll figure it out. And we normally do, but it takes all of us. I am just one of 14 strong. So I caught an interview the other day on CNBC. Maybe some of you guys caught it. It got a lot of buzz. I was working home remotely, trying to juggle dogs barking, kids fighting, my wife on a Zoom at the same time as me. Similar chaos that we're all dealing with in one way, shape, or form. But I did happen to catch Jim Cramer interviewing Kevin Johnson, the CEO of Starbucks. At that time, the Dow was down 37% from its recent highs. The S&P was down 34% from record highs. In the midst of the crash, Kevin Johnson is focusing on his people. You'll get paid. Come in if you feel safe. Stay home if you don't. He made a very powerful comment and said, people before profits. Such a good reminder. Without our people, our work family, as we call it, our referral partners, our chamber, our community, our clients, there are no profits. There is no business. It's the people that matter. Times like this remind us and amplify the importance of people. And let's face it, we truly are in this together. That phrase has been used a lot lately, and it's hard to argue. So to get to know Gen X is to get to know our people. We can't do it without each other, and each role is critical to the whole. So I know everybody's out there somewhere. I can't see all of you, but I got love for you. Can't wait to get us all back together soon. But Julia Waffle is our Director of Client Relations. She ensures all clients get top shelf service and a familiar voice when they call our office and a familiar face when we used to have clients come into the office. We can't wait to get back to that soon. I'm sure you can all agree. Stacy Morgan. I see you, Stacy. Hi. Stacy's our VP of Operations. She keeps our business running smoothly and brings me and the other 2 principals together to strategize and make important business decisions. Not easy, I can assure you, but somehow she gets it done. We also have 4 wealth planning directors, or for short, we call them WPDs. Mark Niebrugge, the pride of T-Town. I couldn't help myself. Teotopolis, Illinois. If you haven't been there, you got to check it out. A lot of us went to his wedding recently and had a great time before the social distancing and everything. And just had a nice time as a Gen X family. Dan Bone, our maestro and our rock star. RJ Drury, future all-star wealth consultant. And Samantha Bauer. She's a newest addition to our team and is providing great leadership and is a quick study. Each of our WPDs is like a Swiss Army knife. They stand ready to support clients in many facets of their planning, from setting up a new trust account, investment account, to updating a client balance sheet when a new asset is purchased, to recently wiring money for a new home closing. Life is going on for everybody, and there's still a lot of wealth planning decisions that need to be made. The WPDs even go to the DMV, and I'm talking about the Department of Motor Vehicle. For estate planning, sometimes we add a TOD, transfer on death, to avoid probate. Finally, you've got me and 7 other wealth consultants: Mike Sluhan, Chad Hemphill, Quinn Hogreef, nice hat by the way. He's got that Gen X red logo hat on, looking pretty slick. Sam Fox, Ben Kludenkamper, Jake Hemphill, just Chad's son, and there's some internal family succession going on, which is really special to see and be a part of, and Ethan Silverman, who recently joined us from Morgan Stanley. As wealth consultants, we all work directly with clients, listening to and building goals and objectives, personal, corporate, philanthropic, and understanding the unique makeup of client assets and cash flows. We help clients make coordinated decisions across multiple planning areas and are in charge of implementation and the ongoing monitoring of their plan. A lot of you on this call know this. We play well in the sandbox with others. We appreciate and encourage outside expertise, and we refer clients regularly. There's a lot we don't know and a lot we don't do. So let me sneak in a couple shout outs to other chamber members. I see some of you on this call. I can't tell if everybody's here, but pass on the love. Shout out to Margie Schmitz and Hardy Washington Jr. I see you, Hardy. How you doing? Got love for you. We had a client that lost their grandfathering on a vehicle and a policy they had for a long time. They wanted to keep State Farm, but they needed a new agent. They also had some questions about a teenage driver and some liability concerns. Margie and Hardy worked it up the ladder at State Farm, and they got it done. Made us look like heroes. Thank you again for the great work. Shout out to Steve Miskovic at Care Choice Care Management. We had a 90-year-old client, a client's 90-year-old mother that fell. She was overwhelmed, and we simply asked, "Are you okay?" The answer was no. You could tell the trepidation in her voice. She was just stressed out, frustrated, almost at her wit's end. Reached out to Steve. He helped coordinate the transportation needs, the care questions, the insurance, everything that went into that whole situation. Steve to the rescue. Thank you. Shout out to Boys Hope, Girls Hope, Jan Wacker and Terry Sibbets. With Easter last weekend, I was thinking about Easter egg hunts, and it reminded me of our recent chapstick hunt that we did around our office. We ran around collecting chapstick like we were little kids. Stacy from our office organized it. We had no idea what was going on. And we, of course, were super competitive, and everybody's, racing up and down the halls, again, before social distancing and all of that. And we filled stockings to support the kids at Boys Hope, Girls Hope. Great team building for a great cause. Thank you both for caring. Shout out to Jill Roberts of local law firm Miller and Robert. She's been very helpful and very patient as we work with a client whose wife is dealing with mental illness. They're intestate too, meaning no will, no estate planning at all. We're bringing in Jill for her expertise and knowledge in the field and keeping it local. Thank you, Jill. Final shout out to Brandon and Chad Miller from the Miller Group. They came to our office to discuss cybersecurity, huge topic for all our business owner clients, huge topic for us, and really in this cyber day and age for all of us. They shared best practices, and anybody that is looking for a tech partner or a possible review, we would not hesitate to introduce the Miller Group. Thanks, fellows, for the tech education. All right, I'm wrapping up here. Appreciate the time and attention. In closing, our mission is to deliver a professional planning experience that helps provide life-changing clarity so our clients are free to experience their lives to the fullest. We are an essential business. We are running a skeleton crew and working hard and putting in long hours to be available to our clients and our community. People have a lot of questions, and we can be a resource. If we can assist in any way, please reach out to our firm, and our team will make ourselves available to you. We love being part of the Kirkwood community, and we look forward to getting to know each of you better, ideally in person, very soon. Thank you again for your time. Stay well, everybody. Thank you.
Recognized here. Okay, now I'm going to introduce Jason Archer, who is the VP for Business Development with the St. Louis Economic Partnership. He's going to talk to us about relief efforts and funding that the partnership is providing. And I'm gonna open this up right now, Brian. Oh, sorry, Jason.
We good? I opened it up myself.
Dude, I thought that was, I didn't see it and I thought I gotta get it, but
First
okay.
off, thank you very much, Peg, and for all of you here at the chamber participating. This is since this event, it's the first time I've ever really used Zoom. We'd ever really used Skype like that, and I got to say, this is my third chamber meeting. It's like I can go to all of them now. It's fantastic. So thank you for putting it together. Thank you for participating. I won't take too much time so that you can get to Tom and the SBA programs. They are incredibly powerful. And when I get done, I'll post the link and the phone number for the St. Louis partnership. So it's stlpartnership.com. That they've got a phone number. It's 314-615-1777. I'll put that on there. Our organization is the Economic Development Group for the St. Louis City and County. We were in existence after the Ferguson incidents. So what happened after that? Our CEO, Rodney Krim, had a little bit of experience and thought we had to do something quick to respond and to at least be a contact for small businesses with so many questions. So we had about $750,000 of unencumbered funds that we could start with. Since we've added 2 more rounds to it, so we've put together about $2.2 million. Consider it gap loans. $5,000 is the max. It's a loan, so the first 6 months will be a $50 payment, and then $260 after that for 18 months. We were told to let everyone know it is a loan, and there's the reason why we got this briefing the other day was from the Ferguson experience. Keep in contact with the people. So a $50 loan repayment allows us to stay in contact, make sure that everyone's doing okay, and they have at least a point for resources. So we've partnered pretty strongly with the St. Louis Regional Chamber since they cover 2 states and 14 counties. So there's a great COVID-19 research center on that page. So we all are trying to coordinate information so that it stays together. You can get information for the loan program at stlpartnership.com. I don't know if I've said the website or not. I believe it's stlpartnership.com. And go there, and that's how you get the application and you run through the process. And I really think that's all I really need to discuss, because I consider it a gap piece while you're filing for and working with the SBA loan programs. So I'll put all that information over there on the side, and you can check it from there. Thank you very much, and keep having these meetings and keep communicating with each other. It's terrific.
Super. Thank you so much, Jason. Nice seeing you. Hope you're well. You look well. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it over to Daryl Scott, who is, and you can unmute yourself, right, Daryl? The board chair for the Kirkwood Area Chamber of Commerce. Okay. So I give you Daryl Scott to introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. For some reason, I decided to sit outside, so I was cooped in the office for most of the weekend. It's not as chilly as I thought it would be. So, Thomas Yoakum has been with the Small Business Administration since August of 2018, and the federal government since 1995. He joined the team as Deputy District Director and assisted the District Director in overseeing the delivery of SBA programs and services for 54 counties in the eastern half of Missouri. Prior to joining the SBA, he served the General Services Administration as Senior Building Manager for 23 years. While in that position, he supervised and led a staff of 6 federal employees and 75 contractors. He graduated from the University of Missouri St. Louis with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and earned his Master of Business Administration from Webster University. He and his wife, Gina, have 1 dog, Apollo, who lives by that name and tries to rule the house. He's with us today to speak about SBA related programs, resources, specifically the EIDL loans, EIDL advances, payment protection program, and SBA grant relief. I give you Thomas Yoakum.
Okay,
Is Mr. Yoakum on?
he is.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
All right. Well, thanks for the introduction, and Peg, thanks for inviting me and having us, and we appreciate that. You can't actually see me because I'm actually going to be going off our. We got a lot of information to cover, and I'm going to be kind of looking back and forth with some different things to make sure I get everybody the correct information on all these programs and loans. So thanks for that intro, and we'll get started. So
hey, Tom, what I'd like to do is you cover this, and then I'm gonna manage chat and give you
That would be
some of the
great.
questions that I'm getting after you do your presentation. Will that work?
that would be wonderful. And actually keep, if you don't mind, keep a record of the questions and anything that we can't get a good answer to. If you can send them over, we'll make sure we do get answers as much as possible, and I'll email them back to you to send out to your entire chamber.
Super, thank you so much.
Thank you. So, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. We got a lot to cover. This is the lot going on with the country's biggest economic recovery in the history of our country. So, a lot going on here. So there are actually a few things that the SBA has by themselves. That is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or as he mentioned, EIDL for short. You know, the government, we love our acronyms, so we'll have a few more of those. Anyway, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan is open to all self-employed individuals, independent contractors, sole proprietors, businesses, 501c3s, any business. So the lender of that actually is the Small Business Administration. So we have the SBA will actually be issuing you payment for that loan. It actually is a loan, it's not a grant. And it's a 30-year loan, up to $2 million at 3.75% for businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits. There is no personal guarantee for the loan, amounts up to $200,000. And like I said, it's a 30-year loan. It's got a 12-month deferral for the first payment. So you wouldn't make a payment for a year. No fees, no early penalty for paying it off or anything like that. Usage is for fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that can be paid due to the disaster. And the only caveat or the only prohibition is it cannot be used to pay off existing debt. So you can't refinance another loan with it. There is and it's okay for businesses, new businesses less than a year old. So that kind of takes us into the second part of it. So I'm sure a lot of you have gone online and looked at that. You can apply for that online at the SBA website, sba.gov. If you look for loan programs, you'll see actually right at the top, there's a banner that has the COVID-19 disaster relief. If you click on that, it'll take you to the programs that are available. So when you fill out the application, you're going to see a follow-on piece to that that talks about an advance for up to $10,000. That's actually it's a grant because it's forgiven. You can get up to $10,000. They pay that out by number of employees you have for your business. So if you got 5 employees, you're going to get $5,000. $1,000 per employee, up to a maximum of $10,000. you would, and that same deal, good for self-employed individuals, independent contractors, sole proprietors, all businesses, not nonprofits. And I should note, nonprofits actually include faith-based organizations. They count as well. What they are advertising is when you apply for the advance, as soon as the application is accepted, and that's kind of the key word, accepted, not approved or declined. As soon as it is accepted, you should get your payout. They're telling us within 3 business days. I have heard that is not the case, but I have also heard, as I actually heard this morning, that businesses are now getting emails that payment should be coming shortly. I'm hoping today. So that's the deal on that. Usage, providing paid sick leave to employees, maintaining payroll, meeting increased costs to obtain, any materials or payments that you have had to make during this time of crisis, and other things of that nature. So this actually connects to the next thing we're going to talk about with the Paycheck Protection Program loan. So if you get a Paycheck Protection Program loan that we're going to talk about, this advance, the amount of the advance would be deducted from the amount that you would get from the Paycheck Protection Program. So why? Because they're used for the same things. You have, if you're going to be paying payroll, rent, mortgage, interest, utilities, you're going to be doing that with the Payroll Protection Program loan. You could also use that you could use this for the same thing. They're not going to give you double the amount for the same thing because they're both being forgiven. So the Paycheck Protection Program, again, is for self-employed individuals, independent contractors, sole proprietors, businesses, 501c3s, not-for-profits, faith-based organizations, all types of small businesses. And businesses in certain industries can have more than 500 employees. You got to look at the size standards for SBA guidelines. Same with affiliation standards are waived for small businesses, and in the hotel and food service industries, you have to look at how your industry is set up in the National Association of Industrial Classification Codes. And same with franchises. How do you apply for this? So the EIDL loan, you apply online, like I said, at SBA.gov. This one you would apply with a bank, but you can get the form at the same location at SBA.gov. And the form is an SBA form 2483. There are lists of certified lenders at our website also, and I'll give you a website address for that. I can type it in the chat after this, but it's sba.gov /paycheck protection /find, FIND, and that will actually give you all the lenders. You'll type in your zip code and it'll give you the lenders in a surrounding area that are participating in the program. And the reason I tell you that is there's actually a whole lot more lenders than we've ever had as partners, because some are just coming up trying to help out, because we couldn't do this without our lending partners. There's just too many people needing the assistance. So this loan, it is a loan, but if you meet the criteria and follow the guidelines that we'll talk about, you actually will have the loan forgiven in all or part, depending on how you do that. So it is a 2-year loan. You get 250% of your average monthly payroll from the last year, capped at $100,000 per employee, up to a maximum of $10 million. So I'll say that again. It's 250%, or 2.5 times your average monthly payroll from last year. The loan is at 1% interest rate, and it's got a 6-month deferral before you'd have to make a payment back on it. And then as long as you meet the criteria and follow the guidelines that I'm going to tell you here, it can be up to 100% forgiven, as long as your loan proceeds are spent by the borrower during the 8-week period after the origination date of the loan. So the day that you get the loan, you need to start paying your people and bringing them back to work for the next 8 weeks. Then you would get that forgiven, and you'd have additional money because you're getting 2.5 times monthly payroll. So that extra money can be used for rent on any lease space for your business, mortgage interest, or utilities that you use to pay for your business.
Hey, Tom,
Yep.
can I ask you a couple of questions that I
Sure.
received? So the first is, with the PPP, I understand we have to use 25% of the forgivable portion on rent and utilities. Can we use this 25% to prepay on rent?
Can you use it to prepay on rent?
So
like pay it forward
you
further
got it.
down? Nobody's asked that. You'd have to show what you're using it for. So you're saying if after you pay the 75% towards payroll,
Yes.
and that's given,
Mm-hmm.
so you're saying you have extra money? Is kind of
Yeah.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
I will ask that question. So can you pay rent forward?
Righto.
I would assume you could because you're using it for the intended purpose, but let's get a clarification on it.
That'd be super. Then I have another PPP question.
Yep.
How does the PPP determine payroll for a sole proprietor? What documentation will the person have to show in order to prove that the funds went to payroll?
Right. You beat me to the punch.
Oh,
So that's a good question. Unfortunately, that is a question that we are waiting on the answer for. We have asked that question ourselves. So the deal is, they started this April 3rd, and they opened it up to all business, and there was a mad dash and a frantic panic of all the bankers who didn't have answers to all these questions. Then they came and got a bunch of those and said that the sole proprietors and independent contractors also count as their own business entity. So to kind of finish that thought, if you are a sole proprietor and you would hire independent contractors to work with you for different things, you do not count independent contractors as your employees. They actually have to file the same paperwork for themselves in that capacity as their own employer. So we are actually waiting for guidance from SBA headquarters and Treasury on how to count payroll for sole proprietors. We don't know if they're using taxes. We don't know if they're using, I think we've heard people ask about Schedule K-1s, or what exactly documentation are they using. We don't have an answer on what they're going to accept yet. As soon as we do, I will get that information out to you right away.
okay. I have another question. Oh, and first a clarification. The 75-25 split, The 75% once you can you talk about how you actually use the money, how you need to use the money once you receive PPP?
So the guidance that we have been given, I will just read you off what they've told us. So as soon as you get your loan, they want you to they want you to immediately hire back all your employees. And this
As
is
soon as you get the loan.
as soon as you get the loan.
Well, is that as soon as you get the loan approved, is that the same time as soon as you get the funds?
It says, no, it's very specific. 8-week period starting the date the lender makes the first disbursement to the borrower. So the day that you first get the money is when the clock starts ticking. And then the next question is, well, then when am I going to get the money? And the answer to that is the banks, the lenders have 10 days from the date that your application is approved to make funds disbursement. So if you got your loan approved today, count 10 days from now, and as long as it's not a weekend, that would be the day that funds would be dispersed.
Okay.
And I will tell you, we don't have a solid answer on this because what we've heard from some people is, I'll just use one as an example. Restaurants, some of them have part-time employees, and not all the part-time employees are coming back to work, or they're not planning on hiring the part-time people to come back to work, because the anticipation is that this is it's going to be a slower ramp back up for different industries than it is others. You know, people that do, me, for example, we're working from home and things, it's not slow for us, obviously, but if you go back to work and everything's back to normal once you get back into the office and all is good, okay, great. But the anticipation for restaurants is not everybody's going to be coming back out to eat in full force, thinking that they're not going to want to be elbow to elbow with other people right off the bat. So it might take a little longer, so you might not need your part-time employees. So do I count them? Do I not count them? And if your payroll reimbursement for the PPP is going to be put on last year's payroll, your average on last year's payroll. We're waiting to get a clarification of, if I got $100,000 of payroll last year at this time, and I'm not hiring back some of my people, I can't make my 75% disbursement on payroll. What happens? Well, if you don't use the 75% or more for payroll, your loan won't be forgiven. So our question that we've raised up to our headquarters is, can you take, our thought is you would take only the part of the money that you would make 75% of it go to payroll. But we're waiting on a clarification for that. We don't know. I can't imagine they would say you have to take all the money, but that's what we're waiting for a clarification on. Do you have to take the entire loan amount, and how do you make payroll if you don't need the whole 75% for payroll? Does that, I hope I answer that?
Yeah, but here's my, so 75%, once you get your loan, 75% must go toward payroll. 25% can be used for rent, utilities, etc. It doesn't need to be, it just can go toward those. Is that correct?
That is correct. However, if you don't use it for one of those said criteria, which is rent for your business, mortgage interest for your business, or utility payments for your business, that part would not be forgiven. And you would have to make that payment back within 2 years at 1% interest. no
Mhm.
payment for early, or no penalty for early payment if you did that.
Okay.
And that's very possible. I've had people ask me, you know, that some people are actually putting in for this Paycheck Protection Program loan without any intention of using it for the forgivable part because they just need the money and it's a great rate at 1% interest. So they're going to get the loan and they're going to pay it back at 1% interest.
Mhm. Okay, I have another question. For PPP disbursement, don't papers have to be signed after approval before funds go into your bank? And the individual bank is the one sending the documents. It's not immediately put into your account once approved within 10 days, right?
So it's not, it's supposed to be put into your account at the 10-day mark. It's not necessarily put in before that. And yes, you would have signatures. Everybody's using e-signatures, so electronic signatures are what you would sign and send to the bank. I'm not sure I answered the question or not.
I'm not sure either. Let me tell you what. So we filed, the chamber, we're not even eligible now. We chose other on the application, but I don't believe we're eligible. 501c6s weren't, but they had been. Aren't now, but were. So, but we filed. Well, we gave our completed application to our bank. And then our bank files, right?
That is correct.
So we signed everything, we gave it to the bank. Now the bank is working with SBA.
So the bank actually has authority to approve the loan based on the criteria they've been given.
Okay, so say that happens. When do you get the funds? And what's
10
the
days,
10? Yeah,
10 days after the bank approves your application.
okay. And that's when you need to start using it.
Once funds are dispersed, that's when you need to start making payroll. Yes.
Okay, and then if you have, do you have to lay people off to get approval on PPP? Or can it just have been a hardship during that time?
Our understanding is it just needs to be a hardship during that time. But let's ask that question. In other words, did you have to have already laid people off and bring them back to work?
Yeah, is that the part of the criteria for approval?
I
If you're
don't
just,
believe so,
if you're,
but
okay,
we need to ask the question to clarify. But I don't believe that is the case, because you know a lot of people have purposely kept people working at a loss to them, at a loss to their own company, strictly to do the right thing and try and keep people working.
mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure the answer to that is no. But again, let's double check it, and we'll ask that
Okay.
question and get an answer.
Okay. Here's somebody else. What if your office is your home? Do you have to be doing business from a commercial location?
No. Now, that is probably a self-employed person, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, you are eligible for both the PPP and the EIDL loan. As I said, we're waiting on specific guidance on how you show your payroll, your income, and that part's coming. As far as rent and mortgage and that, in order for that to count towards forgivable for that, you would have to have shown that on your taxes in the last time you filed taxes. It would have had to, you would have had to make a stipulation that I got 200 square foot office in my house here's the cost of that, here's what I'm using that for my business. It has to be lined out in your taxes in order for that to be accepted as a forgivable piece of that payment.
But you can apply for PPP even if you're working in your home.
Absolutely. Yes, you are definitely eligible.
Okay. Then how about this? If you were approved, so that's between you and the bank, right? The approval,
Yes.
and it's been 10 days and you've not received any papers to sign and you haven't gotten any money. How long do the banks have to process it or get you the papers to sign?
So there is no specific time for that. What I can tell you is there's two things on that. One is some of the banks have been overwhelmed with applications. So some of the banks are taking longer to get approvals out on those than others. And other banks have had issues with all this is being done electronically. And all this is being done through the SBA computer systems that they have, the programs that they have. They've had a lot of difficulty with a couple of the programs getting them to work right due to volume of loans being pushed through this. And some banks are having more trouble than others with that. So it's possible that I had a bank up in northeastern Missouri the other day tell me they had four PPP loans that they were ready to issue, but they just couldn't do it until they could get the system to work right. It could be something like that that's happening as to why you haven't seen disbursement or a signature of some sort for that.
Okay, here's more on PPP. This is from a banker. We've had quite a bit of difficulty in getting approval to be a PPP lender. We're looking at applying for PPP loans for our best clients only because of the documentation that may be required for us to keep track of how the client is spending the money. We don't want to be in a position of a default on an application or an application to be turned back to us at a later date, informing us it was not documented correctly. Will you address these concerns? They're not an approved lender to begin with, right?
Sounds like it, yes.
So can they help clients?
They have to be in the system in order to be an SBA approved certified lender. So they're going to have
lenders getting approved now to be PPP lenders?
Absolutely. That kind of goes to that website that I was telling you about earlier on if you're looking for a lender, and because not all banks are lenders for this particular thing. Some banks have opted not to do that. So if you are at an institute, if you bank at an institution that is not participating in this, you're obviously going to need to go to a different lending institution to get a PPP loan. And that website I gave you would give you banks in your zip code that are participating.
But can a bank become a PPP lender, an approved SBA lender at this time? I mean,
oh sure, I
yeah.
can tell you they would have to. I think it's a form 3506 is an application to become an SBA lender. I'm looking for that.
Okay, Robert, do you hear this? You don't have to answer. I'm just hoping you'll.
Yeah, it's the lending institution would have to file an SBA form 3506, and I believe I will actually, if he could reach out to me, send me an email. I actually will get him in touch with my, I got a lending specialist that does all this stuff all the time,
Okay,
I would put him in touch with them and they can do that. But it's definitely a form 3506.
cool.
And once it's filled out, he has to send that to, I want to say, I'm looking for that. There's a specific email address to send that to for delegated authority. And we would get him in the system to do those exact Paycheck Protection Program applications. Yeah, if he wants to send me an email on that, I will get him that specific information and probably have my lending person walk him through the details. But there's no
Okay.
reason he can't. He absolutely, every bank is eligible to participate in this. We can't do it without the bank's help.
Okay, Robert says we had a lot of difficulty in becoming an approved lender, so he's not right now. We have been approved now, but the main concern for me is the proper documentation we need to use. I think
Yeah,
that's about his client.
I understand that. I think we should talk about that offline because that's a very specific question that applies only to lenders. So
Okay.
I totally get what he's saying, but let's have a conversation and see what we can do for him to get him more comfortable.
Okay, I want to ask one more PPP and then we got to go to EIDL. When do you expect to know what will be required to apply as a self-employed person?
I actually am very surprised we don't have that information yet. It was supposed to be out for self-employed, sole proprietors, independent contractors for last Friday. It did not come out by then as planned. We had a call yesterday. We had that exact question that we brought up, and we were told that they are in the process of writing that right now, and it's coming super soon. They did not give us the timeline, but everybody's waiting, and I feel your pain. We're in this with you, and it should be out anytime. I will get Peg. What I'll do is as soon as we get guidance on that, I will send it to you.
Okay, but it'll also be on your website, right?
Well, it should be, and actually a great place for everybody to go is to the Department of Treasury's website, because Department of Treasury is kind of they're ramrodding this show, but they're using SBA's assistance through all our lending partners. So we're kind of partnering with it. But the Treasury Department has a great frequently asked question piece on their website, and you can look at, that's kind of how they're rolling out all their information is on this frequently asked questions. And right, they add to it. So even though you may have seen it, if you haven't seen it recently, you should go back and look at it because they keep adding questions and answers to it. So it's a living document. They're up to 25 questions right now that they've answered, but it keeps growing.
Okay, so let's move to EIDL for a little bit, and I want to begin with, so will you remind us about the EIDL loan and the EIDL advance, please? Sure.
So the EIDL loan you can apply for on the SBA website. It's for self-employed individuals, independent contractors, sole proprietors, businesses, 501c3s, faith-based organizations, etc. The loan is with SBA. It's a 30-year loan at 3.75% for businesses, 2.75 for nonprofits, and has a 12-month deferral for the first payment. You can pay it off anytime. There's no personal guarantee needed. And at the end of that application, it's going to ask you if you want an advance. And if you do, we've been told that the advance equates to $1,000 per employee, up to a maximum of $10,000. That advance is automatically forgivable, and that's whether you are approved or declined for the loan. You can use it for, you can't use it to pay off debt, so you cannot use it to refinance anything, but you can use it to pay fixed debts. I would not recommend using the loan for payroll, because if you use the loan for payroll, they won't forgive it. If you use the advance for payroll, that's okay, because they're gonna deduct whatever the amount of your advance is from the Paycheck Protection loan that you would get. So if
Okay,
you get,
so let me ask you this.
sure,
With EIDL, so that's first up is economic injury disaster loan, right?
that is correct.
Okay. When you're applying and it's 1,000 per employee, is it total number of employees, or do they have to be full-time? Or is it full-time equivalents?
That's a good question. No one has asked that. Let's find out.
Okay, super. Okay, let's see. I interrupted you, but you were
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
talking about stuff. Okay, let me see. EIDL, are there EIDL questions aside from?
So one thing that we should probably, the most people, not all, but what we've been seeing is the majority of the people who, originally EIDL came out before the Paycheck Protection Program.
Mm-hmm.
So most people that are applying for this, the real intent of what they're trying to get is the forgiveness. They really don't want a loan. They really want the forgiveness, grant, call it what you want. So what we're seeing most people do is, if you've applied for the EIDL loan and you get the advance, that's great. They've also applied for the PPP loan.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the bank asks you if you've applied for an EIDL loan. They're gonna deduct the amount of the advance, whatever it is, 1,000 up to 10,000. But second, if you're going to use the EIDL loan for these other things that you want to be forgiven, like your rent, like your mortgage, things of that, you want to actually, the intent is to roll in, kind of refinance, if you will, your EIDL loan into the Paycheck Protection Program. If you don't have the loan yet, that's fine. They're still going to deduct the amount of the EIDL advance that they're anticipating you get. And then you'll get the Paycheck Protection Program loan from the bank minus the advance. So then you'll get the advance. That makes everything 100% as far as the Paycheck Protection Program loan. If you get notified that of the EIDL loan after that, just decline it. Unless it's something you want, of course. But if you've already got what you need to take care of this, just tell them you already got the Paycheck Protection loan and you don't take it.
And you don't take the EIDL.
Correct.
But if you apply for, you can apply for the advance, right?
Yes.
And the PPP.
Yes.
And if you get how do they know? Like, we applied for both, and the question was, have you applied for EIDL? Have you applied for relief before this date?
Correct.
And we had not. And so we applied for both. We haven't gotten anything yet, but again, we're 501c6. I don't think we're going to get anything in this round.
We should talk about that offline, because I need to clarify that. I need to get a clarification on that because I think C6s should be eligible, but I need to find that out.
Cool. Okay, but my point is, PPP, the advance and the PPP are both forgivable.
They can be. The advance is automatically forgiven. The PPP is up to 100% forgiven as long as you use it for the said criteria.
Okay. Okay. And so I don't know, like if you get the advance first, will the PPP reflect that advance? Is that what you said?
That is what should happen, yes. And
Should
that's why
happen.
they ask the questions if you've applied for the EIDL. It's part of it's an application question.
Uh-huh.
So when you're filling out your PPP application, it's going to ask you if you've applied for an EIDL loan advance prior to whatever date that was.
Does the PPP ask you if you've applied for EIDL advance?
Yes,
So they should balance out regardless of which you apply for first.
correct.
And if you're applying for the loan, if you're taken care of through PPP and EIDL advance, and that'll carry you through until we can get back into our offices and do business, etc., decline the loan.
Well, yes, because the loan, it depends on how you're going to use it and what you want it for. If you're going to use the EIDL loan for payroll, rent, mortgage interest, and utilities, why would you want it if you have to pay that back versus getting the Paycheck Protection loan and having it forgiven? However, if you get the EIDL loan and you're going to use it because you right before this started, you bought a lot of inventory, or you bought equipment or what have you, and you need to make payment on that or need to pay it off because you bought it before this started, well, then you might want the EIDL loan because it's a great interest rate and you can finance it for 30 years at 3.75% and defer it for 12 months. So it depends on your purpose.
Okay. If someone's applied for EIDL advance, is it automatically awarded, or does the SBA evaluate and ask for more info?
So what we were told is the advance is provided once the application is accepted, and it's irrelevant whether you are approved or declined. So even if you're declined, you would keep the advance.
Declined for the loan.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you don't meet the criteria for whatever reason that would be, they look at your financial statement that they're going to ask you for at some point and say, yeah, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work out. You would still keep the advance.
But EIDL advance and EIDL are separate processes, right?
Not really. You kind of go through the process, and at the end of it, there's a place to apply for an advance.
And then it's just submitted as a request for an advance?
It's, yeah, you get an application number, and yeah, you get an application number when you submit it, and it goes from there.
Okay. Can contract 1099 employees be considered employees for EIDL?
No, they got to apply on their own.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. EIDL can be for a safety net for covering additional expenses beyond the 8-week time it has to be used. Is that right? The advance can.
The advance can be used for whatever you want it for. They're not going to come back and collect the advance.
Mhm.
But keep in mind, whatever they give you for Paycheck Protection, they're going to deduct that amount of the advance.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
So yeah, you can, they're assuming that you're going to use the advance for the same things that you would use the paycheck protection for.
Mhm. How do you know if you've been accepted?
Uh, they will, well, first you're going to get a confirmation number, application number once you submit it. Our understanding is that that's the acceptance. They accept your application.
Really?
You're going to get notified via, I believe it's, I don't believe it's a phone call. I believe it's an email or of some sort when they want to talk, a loan officer wants to talk to you about the loan.
Okay.
And I don't know how long that's going to be. I don't know. Yeah, they originally they said could be up to 3 weeks. I don't know if they've been making loans through that with loan officers or not.
Okay. I think all the EIDL questions have been answered, but a 501c7, is that eligible for PPP?
It's the first time we've heard that one. Let's find out.
Okay, super. Okay. Is any of the EIDL forgivable besides the advance? Also, so that's one question. I'm going to let you answer that, Tom.
The EIDL loan, the only part that is forgivable is the advance.
Okay. And that could be up to $10,000, but it's $1,000 per employee.
Correct.
And we don't know whether that's head count or FTE.
That is correct. We're going to get a clarification on that.
Okay. So what are and how are the loan amounts determined for the EIDL?
So that's kind of interesting, really. You do not ask for any amount of money. They are going to, so you're going to fill out the application online. They're going to get a hold of you. That first come, first serve. So they're going to get a hold of you when it's your turn, and they will most likely be asking you for additional information that would include a schedule of liabilities, a personal financial statement, and an IRS form 4506T as in for tax. They do not, they used to ask for previous disaster applications, they'd ask for 2 years of tax statements. They are not asked, they're waiving that requirement, but they do want a IRS 4506T, which is a waiver for them to look at taxes if they choose to. So they're going to get that information, and then they're going to determine, the loan officer that is, will determine how much of a loan they're going to give you.
Okay. Okay. Then has COBOL created a problem in processing applications?
Say that one more time.
COBOL, the computer language, right?
Yeah, is that COBOL, COBAL or VAL?
OL, COBOL.
COB, yeah. Not that I'm aware of, but I can ask.
Okay, super. Okay. Okay, I got a couple of new questions. Okay. This is PPP. Tom states a portion of PPP can be used for mortgages. Will you ask it?
Mortgage interest.
Mortgage interest. And so this is for business mortgage and not personal mortgage, right?
That is correct. The only caveat to that, and this would be a banking question, or a banking answer, I should say, is if your taxes were, if you put on your taxes and filed your taxes and counted your office at your house as a separate piece,
Mm-hmm.
you could possibly use some of that money towards your mortgage interest in that capacity. But it would have to be lined out on your taxes for the last time you filed taxes. So whether you filed 19 on 19, or some people haven't filed 19 tax yet, so they would need to go back to 18.
Okay.
And then how much of that could be forgiven would be something you'd have to go and ask your bank about, whoever's doing your lending with you.
Okay, let me ask you this, another one, EIDL. So where did that go? Right there. EIDLs, are they a guaranteed 30-year amortization, or does the SBA determine the loan schedule?
No, it is a 30-year fixed loan at 3.75% deferred for 12 months before the first payment.
Okay, and what sort of personal guarantee is required?
Well, they're waiving the personal guarantee for up to $200,000. So I guess it depends on how much it would depend on how much you're trying to get.
Okay, so anything under 200,000 is waived.
Yes.
Okay.
They actually, I didn't really say that, but they actually are not even asking for any type of collateral for up to 25,000. So literally, you can just get a loan for $24,999 and walk away without any collateral, any guarantee, anything.
Okay.
That doesn't
Okay.
mean it's free money, just so you know.
Right. I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Really appreciate your time. Appreciate our presenters' information. It was so helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact one of us with the chamber. So that's me, Beth Weidman, Lori Given, Iris Collier. Our information is on our website. Or call us 314-821-4161, but that's the office number. My email has my cell at the bottom of it, and don't hesitate to call.